of the Who Asked Me podcast. I am so excited to be joined here today with somebody that is so near and dear to my heart. Taria Faison. Let me tell y'all something. When I first started this podcast journey, when I first started my Instagram page, I was a little, just like baby out of the womb, trying to make, I'm trying to make friends, like I'm trying to, have contacts. And Taria slid into my DMs, and I don't even know what you said, but you was just chatting away with me, and I was like, oh my God, she's so nice. Like, this is amazing, blah, blah. And it's just a blossom from there. Taria, how are you, babe?
Yes, I am good. And I have to say, I probably never said it to you, so I'm going to go on record as saying I'm never the type that is like, oh, and I'm saying never the type, but clearly I am what I'm about to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Yeah.
like, oh, I want that person to be my friend. Like seeing them,
Mm-hmm.
like I think they would be
Yeah.
really dope. Raven and you. Because y'all are very much like I knew the
Yeah.
energy. Like Raven, we know our girl
Yes.
Raven is very much like, I don't know you. Like, don't be trying to. And Aries, we
Mm-hmm.
can make everybody feel like they're our friend,
Correct.
even though we know you're not really, but that's just our personalities. So I was like, ooh, I'm gonna get to their little hearts because they got to mine. I like them. And I love the way that you were very resolute in you have a way of being very resolute about your stance. However, you also normalize when you learn new information.
Oh,
You're not
no.
so stuck in your stance that you don't take in new information and be like, oh, you know what? I never thought
Mm-hmm.
about that. There's so many creators out there that are like that. You were not one of those. Me and Zell bonded over our disagreement over Candace, and I'll never forget. I was in California visiting my son in college, and I was like, "Okay, you make a good point, but," and she was like, "Okay, but you make a good point, but," and then we both came to like
Yes,
we both have good points,
I'm not gonna
and we are
lie.
moving on.
Taria brought me around on Candace because this is my thing, and we talk about it all the time. I was, I was like, okay, Monique is wrong. Like, I never cared for the way how things went down between them because I said, at the
Yes,
root, okay, at the root, you are my friend. Yes, I'm texting you talking shit about this girl I don't like. Why are you going to talk to that girl about it? Especially after we squashed things. Like, but
yes,
yes, I love our discourse. I
yes,
really, really do.
yeah.
So today Taria's a perfect person I wanted to have this conversation with. We are going to talk about sisterhood. One, because I really do think that Taria is a great example. If you know her, you love her, and she's a great example of, I think, sisterhood,
Oh
especially,
my
in the
gosh.
Black space, right? That's the only sisterhood I know, just so we're clear. Like, I'm a Black woman, okay? Like, and I went to
Same,
primarily white schools, and,
same.
I have friends, my girl and I have, of course, us
Whoa.
Black girls who went to primarily white schools. Like, we stick together, right? And I have white friends and things, but those friendships are not the same as
Yep.
my Black friendships because we connect on a different level. And I mean, I will never forget. I
Amen.
had this white friend, and she told me, she was like, I feel like you give one of my Black friends like more like excuses, you give her more chances, blah blah. I said, it's not that I give her more chances, we just understand each other differently, and you should not be comparing the relationship. Let me tell you that right now. You should not be comparing the relationship at all. Yeah, and it did. And it did.
Because
Okay.
ours will end.
because
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 ours
they had
will
a
end.
disagreement, and
It's
she said, you know
listen.
what it
I
was, she didn't call her, one of my Black friends, aggressive. She told somebody else something about an interaction between those two, and the other girl's reaction was, well, she's aggressive about my Black friend. And I said, okay, hard stop, let's rewind some things here. First of all, you two had,
yeah.
whatever exchange that you had, but the exchange was still about me. So I don't necessarily appreciate this being the conversation and then you painting her out to be an aggressor. I don't think anybody was an aggressor in this situation. I really don't. But I thought it was aggressive for the white woman to sit there and be like, wow, she's so aggressive. Because I was like, she's not. Like, she definitely, like, there's attitude flying all around here. Okay. Yeah, there's attitude flying all around,
Yes,
but
that's attitude is
aggressive,
different than
aggressive
aggression.
is crazy. And for me, I was like, the fact that you know, with my white friend,
Yeah.
like you and I have been friends for a long time. You know how I feel about that stuff, especially when I'm not being, excited or anything like that. So the fact that you just let her say that, it made me
Mm-hmm.
mm. So, but today, obviously, we wrapped up, not today, but
Yeah.
we're going to talk about sisterhood today because we wrapped up the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. What is this, season 14? And honestly, I don't care about what the rest of them have got to say. I really don't. And I
Mm-hmm.
know y'all probably like, we're talking about sisterhood and you just said heifers. I mean that in an
Yeah.
old school black way. Sorry. Sometimes it slips out. It really does. And sometimes it slips out.
Exactly.
But I made a video on TikTok
Exactly.
about Boz and Garcelle, and that is where the topic of this conversation came from because there are so many people in the comments of that videos, black women, and we all seem to have a different idea of what sisterhood is, if we even care for
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood, stand for it any way, shape, or form. And so I wanted to have this conversation. I will say this. I stand by that Garcelle and Boz, they truly don't have a problem. That's why everything that took place at the reunion, I do understand
Agree.
where Garcelle got to all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Because I was like, oh,
Yep.
now I get it.
SEO. Yeah.
Their points of contention are that their white besties they don't get along with each other and they don't like each other's white besties, right? And I want to be clear, I understand
Mm-hmm.
why Garcelle does not care for Dorit, and I understand why Boz was rubbed the wrong way by what Sutton has said and done. Now, I want to say this. When I first saw that Boz said, this one called me an angry black woman and you just sat there and let it happen, I was like, girl,
Child.
and the flashbacks that they shown didn't really do
Cause
Boz
you call.
any favors. But then I said, well, let me think, okay?
Nope.
Because I try to be diplomatic. The Viper Room, when at the beginning of the season, when they were having a conversation, I don't remember what about, but Sutton
Mm-hmm.
said,
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh, it was about because Bose was basically like, you want
correct,
sisterhood, you can't be the
correct,
problem and
yes.
then try to
And
fix it.
so
And then Sutton didn't
what
like
Sutton
that.
said was, you're very articulate and you're smart with your words, and you come in strong. That is when I at Sutton was like, I rolled my eyes all the way in the back of my head. So
Girl, come
that
on. Yeah.
interaction
Yeah. Like,
paired with seeing what she said on the after show of it felt like she was kind of angry at me. I am willing to throw Boz a bone there when it comes to how she feels about Sutton. However, Garcelle was not present for that conversation at the Viper Room. And then Sutton is talking about how she
nope.
feels, right? About her own personal interaction with
Mm-hmm.
Boz. Do I think that she should have used the term angry? I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know. Because if I feel like someone's mad at me, I'm going to say, I feel like you're mad at me, you're angry with me, you're anything. I don't think she said it and
Yeah.
like, Boz is just mad. Why are you always just mad? Right?
That's not how she said. She said, I think she was angry with me. I don't know, but I feel like she was. That's why Garcelle didn't clock, as Bose said, anything. And if you was to clock me,
There you
don't be
go.
clocking me in front of these white folks on this stage. Because now everybody's having this conversation. Just like
Hmm.
I listen. And can we just put something out there? For all of y'all, listen, I'm trying to be very diplomatic when I say this. If you're
Yeah.
not a black woman, feel free to listen to our conversation, how we feel. But what we not gonna have is y'all telling us
Taria.
how to regulate black women's emotions when we are black women and we have been in it. So what I need y'all to do is to listen, and you can judge if you want. Keep it to
Hmm.
yourself, because the reality is, if a man was in on this conversation, you would be telling him, you're not a man, you don't understand, so we're telling you
Yep.
you're not black women, so don't come into
Hmm.
our space while we're having this conversation about Black sisterhood, telling us how we should and shouldn't feel. And to the Black women that are listening, and actually this is for everybody, please stop this whole because
Yeah.
we feel a certain way about Boz, that means we don't like her. That means we judging her as a Black woman. Now we holding her to the standard that she set. We can talk about y'all's faves and not hate
Yeah.
them. If we don't like somebody, trust and believe me and Zell have
Yeah.
no problem saying we don't like somebody.
I
Let's be
just want to
very
say,
clear.
I
So
it's just interesting to me because, so I agree
I'm getting
completely
hype
what you
already.
said. There have been so many people in my comments that are not Black women, and I'm just like, this is not a fucking conversation for you. Like, if you want to listen, but this isn't just like a conversation for you. And if you're listening to this and you think, well, you comment on the white women and we don't say anything, you're obtuse. This conversation is above you. You're not
Very
there
much
yet, sweetie.
so.
But I will say this. I felt like, because I threw this out there in my comment section while I was, having a back and forth with somebody. I said I would feel some type of way if I got that from Boz. I would be like, are you fucking kidding me? Because
Yeah.
Boz and Garcelle had not had a problem. I would feel a type of way if I got that from Boz after the suing you comment.
Yes.
Listen, Garcelle said the comment about the robbery, right? Dorit has every right to not like it. I would be, if Dorit were to be like, oh girl, haha, I would be like, well, that's weird.
Yes.
I'm not judging Dorit for not liking that comment. Duh, she doesn't like
Yeah.
it. But for Boz to sit there and say,
Right.
and try and have this like, I'm checking you, what gives me the nastiest, ickiest feeling about it is Dorit's face right next to her. She is because Dorit is still not let go that she put her own foot in her fucking mouth and made those comments about the people who work in my home are brown and
Yes.
Black people. My kids are around them all the time. You're the one who made those comments, and then you doubled down on it. And then again with the attacking comment. When that whole I think it was like 2 seasons ago, maybe last season actually, when they were talking about Sutton making out with the driver, and Garcelle said, come on now, that's something that me, Sutton, and Erica
Yes.
were talking about, and then you just heard of it. Like, and I feel like you're saying it to embarrass her, right? And Dorit goes, you're attacking me. That's not an attack. That's not an attack.
Yeah. No. Because now none of us I can't say how I feel at all then. Now I feel like I have to tiptoe. I'm glad she didn't, but so I can't say what I need to say
Well,
when you've
also,
actually
I want to add
been
another thing
attacked
to
on
that,
this show
because
before.
people are like, there have been plenty of times when Garcelle has put herself made herself Sutton's defender, right? And I don't agree with it. But in that instance, I understood
Oh
because
yes. Me neither.
Garcelle was the one that told the information, and she was like, okay, I told Erica this,
Yes.
and we was like all kikiing about it. And I'm actually the one that opened my mouth about it. Please don't say nothing over here,
Yeah,
because like
like
I
girl.
probably shouldn't have said that around y'all. Right?
That's
It's like, it's one of those things that was like, well, you did learn the information from me.
yes.
So please don't go blasting that in as something to embarrass her with, because I was just saying it as something fun. And you know how she gets. She's an awkward person. Right.
And also now I can't trust you. Like now I'm
And
also
yes, I would
realizing,
feel
oh,
some
I
type of way
for
about the
real
attack
can't
comment.
trust you.
But
Yeah,
everything
me
that
too.
Boz said, I'm not saying that there's necessarily an issue of the things that Boz said to Garcelle, but it's in mixed company, right?
And the way she said it, she didn't even say, Garcelle, I thought maybe you would have picked
Mm-hmm.
up on that, or I don't know. And you didn't clock it, Garcelle.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to? Like you said, in front of them. Because Les Bills is the same person I would bet money on it that introduced won't he do it? And now I'm all in comments seeing people say, I don't know what that means. That's because you ain't supposed to.
Yep.
And now they finding out what it means. And now
Yep.
they using it all in the wrong way. And Boz introduced that. So some things ain't for y'all to know what it
Exactly.
means because we don't be using it
Yeah, and a
outside
lot
of
of
mixed
people are
company.
also saying,
And
and
now
this is
you're
a lot,
bringing this
also a
issue.
comment I've seen from Black women, and one that I want to dive into deeper, which was Garcelle and Boz weren't friends. Well, hard top, they weren't not friends. Okay, I would actually argue that they were closer to being friendly and
Yeah.
cordial in a way that I genuinely liked, that would warrant a call, right? I went back
Yep.
and there's a picture of Garcelle and Boz on Garcelle's Instagram that says to sisterhood, right? We know and we saw them in comments saying, "Oh, glad you're here. Well, you paved the way for me, queen, blah, blah." I'm not saying that they cannot disagree. I'm not saying that they cannot argue. But to sit here and say, "Well, they just co-workers. I'm not, we in the same
Exactly.
space. I don't know you like that. You don't know me. Just because we black, we don't have to have each other's back." Okay, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I heard, right? That's not my, it's not it, I will say this, it's not my testimony when it comes to, I don't have to like you, but black woman to black woman, yes, when somebody is treating you unfairly, when I see that there is prejudice at play,
Hmm.
I am going to always have your back. I may not like your personality, but I'm not going to let anybody try you like that and try and paint you like that.
But also for the black women that are saying, she didn't know Garcelle like that, she didn't have to have her back,
Yeah.
then you clearly didn't pay attention to the things
Mm-hmm.
that Bose was saying. Bose has made it very clear that in all white
Mm-hmm.
spaces, she makes sure to bring in black faces. That don't mean she knew in her corporate career. That don't mean she knew them all. She always said she leads with that. She leads with sisterhood. Those are Bose's words. And I think that's what people are not getting.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying because they're black, again, they can't have a disagreement. What we're
Right.
saying is, number one, don't have the disagreement about being black in front of mixed they could have had that conversation at any time. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
Bose
She
again
does. She
has
has
said
said
she
that.
prioritizes black women. She has said that. So why then is it different in this scenario if you prioritize black women? And her statement to Garcelle proves it when she said goodbye to Garcelle, or her see you later letter to Garcelle. She doesn't say, "I wanted people to see women could exist in the same space." She said, "I wanted people to see that
Yeah.
we could exist in the same space." Who were the we? The two black women. So
Yeah.
Bose, I'm sorry, makes it about race herself. So then we can expect her to look out for the sister that she says she's going to look out for. Y'all, we wouldn't be having this conversation if Bose didn't lead with that. On top of the different black women that have come forward and says,
Mm-hmm.
yes, this is her message. But that has not been my experience in my workspaces with her, in multiple different workspaces. We don't have to get into that, but for me, that gives me a little
Mm-hmm.
like,
I will listen.
okay, this might not
I would like
be
to get
the
into it a little
first
bit because
time.
as most of us know, I'm a manager, right? I run a business and I manage a lot of different people. I take the approach kind of like my mom took the approach of like raising kids. I parent like this works for your brother, this works for you. I know which one of my employees this works for. I know how this one, gets things through
Yes.
too. I will say I have said to like a black employee before, like, that we cannot do this. That we can, this looks
Yes.
different.
Yep.
Okay. I have said, and not just at this job, at, well, actually not even at, I have
Yep.
not had to say it at this job for real, but at past jobs, I think one of the black girls, like she called off and she didn't follow protocol to a T, but other people didn't follow protocol to a T. And she was like, well, everybody else does it. I said, girl, I know what everybody else does, but I'm telling you, they get away with that with them. I'm bringing
Right.
you in and I'm saying, when somebody else does this like this, I'm on their ass and I'm by the book. I'm giving you an extra talk here because we can't do this. They get 3, 4, 5 chances. We get one and
Yes.
you just used up your one. Okay. So that is what I'm telling you. And I
Yeah.
can see
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
like, damn, I
That.
feel like Zell's
Yep.
harder on me and blah, blah, blah. If that's the case, if that's what we want to call it, yeah, sure. I am going to be harder on you. But for me, it's out of love. And I don't know the women's experience with Bose that have worked with her before. I know everybody at work is a stressful
Mhm.
place. Okay. And it can be when you bring in all these dynamics and different people, it can
Yes.
be even more
Yeah.
stressful when you feel like you don't have somebody to advocate for you, especially when that person looks like you. So while I am interested in knowing the experience from both the women's side and Bose's side, I also understand that I will never actually get that.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's like We have these
Yeah,
women, but then
and yeah, as a
Bo's may say,
manager,
well,
yeah.
these women
Oh,
weren't
trust
performing.
me,
You know what
as
I
a
mean? So
manager,
it's like
people have
it
talked
could
about
be
me up
so
and
many
down, and
different things.
they're saying, are they saying things that happened? Yes, but they are taking context out. Okay, I always say everybody thinks they can do my job.
Yes.
Everybody thinks they can do my job and that they'll do it better than me until they get in it and they're like, well, I
Yep.
don't want to be the bad guy here.
Yep.
I don't ever want to actually reprimand anybody on my staff. I really do not like having those conversations, but I will. I absolutely will. And that's why I'm in the position
Yeah.
because I will.
Exactly.
I don't shy away from them, right? So
That you're
I
in.
that was my thing with
Yep.
the Bows
Yep.
and the Garcelle event. I said, a company, those two comments of like, I would have sued you, or that's how you get sued, is what she said. You know what I mean? And then with the, and you just let her, I would be like, okay, I'm I'm really not here for you with this because I keep saying this. Garcelle walked into a different environment than Bose did. It is not fair to compare their experiences because what Garcelle has experienced with these women is
At all.
different, and it's not comparable because of the time. Right? The time, you can't compare. She has had more time with them. She's had more experiences with
Yeah.
them.
Yes.
But also, Bose says that she watched the show. For me, I'm not saying that I would hinder myself and like not and block off any budding relationships. I just don't know as a black woman if
Hmm.
I could let myself get there with a Dorit after seeing everything that took place when it came to the son getting cussed out situation.
Hmm.
I don't know if I could let myself get there all the way with an
Ooh,
Erica
child.
after I saw that. Now, Erica, she did the whole I was talking to the kids like they were adults and I was wrong. Okay. They seemingly moved forward. She apologized. Okay, we're going to take it at that. But then when
Yeah.
Garcelle came back and said, I feel protective of my boys, I don't know if I'm ready to bring my family around you all yet. Everybody understood. Everybody was like, okay, Dorit was the one
Yeah.
pushing back and was pretty much like, well, Garcelle, when are you going to pretty much get over it? You laughed at my son getting
Get
cussed
over it.
out,
Yes.
who is
Yeah.
also dealing with online bullying because of this show and exactly and racist incidences,
And
and then you
racist.
laugh at him that he has to see these adults that mommy works with laughing at him, and then you tell, when I'm saying I'm protective over, you
Hmm.
tell me to get over it. I just don't think I could ever. That is one of those things. It speaks to
Yeah.
character. It really, really does. I get it. We don't know these women, but
Yes.
that speaks to
Yeah.
character to me. Because when it's my child, how are you going to act? And rightfully, nobody
Yeah. Yeah.
plays about the children. And what also is
1000%.
killing me is, and look, I know Bose and Kyle, they kind of really don't get along, but even Kyle, the adultification of black children is a thing, but especially young black, well, actually, it's equal, black boys and black girls. The fact that Kyle sat up
Ooh.
there and said, your son doesn't want to film.
Yep.
Why are we talking about Morgan not wanting to film? Completely
Two totally
different
different. We talking about
things.
a grown woman.
First and foremost, my son
Yeah.
actually faced
Yeah.
bullying, racist comments, all of the above, and then had to deal with you, Kyle, laughing at him with your friends and your husband, right? One. Good for her. Yeah, good for the person who cussed my son out.
Saying good for her.
Morgan,
Good
you
for her.
brought
Good
Morgan
for
on the show,
Erica.
making googly eyes at her, flirting up a fucking storm. Neither one of you, and listen. I'm
Yep.
bisexual. I was married to a man. Now I'm in a relationship with a woman. Right? Y'all don't need to fucking explain this shit to me. I'm a black queer person. Kyle, no one's outing Kyle. No one is outing Kyle. They are asking questions. They are asking questions. And quite frankly, Kyle has gotten a lot
Right.
more
Right.
dignity. She's got a lot more privacy warranted to her from the fucking
Come on.
cast and from the audience than a black queer person ever would. She has gotten more grace than a lot of
Yeah.
people ever would.
The fact that she could sit on that stage and say, I'm not answering any, I have kids So I'm not saying anything about their father or going into any of my relationship things because I have kids.
Kids.
Garcelle has kids too. But nobody's saying she's boring. Nobody's saying they wish that she was more interesting when she's saying, and let's be clear, like with the whole Kyle and Erica of it all,
Exactly.
it's playing out in the media. So you have no choice but to play it out on the show. You probably would not play it out on the show if it wasn't already playing out in
It
the
absolutely
media.
is.
Let's be clear. So to act, and I'm gonna even give Boz this. I know this may be surprising, but when there was a part of, well, I wished, one thing I appreciate about Garcelle is that she stands in her truth. She doesn't walk back a lot of the things she says, or she doesn't say it in confessionals like these other women. But I was like, oh, I wish she hadn't said that comment about the robbery, only because we know how that's going. I'm sorry if you can hear that
Oh
ding.
no, you're
Somehow my
fine.
text messages got connected back to my laptop, and I got to figure out
You're
how to get.
fine.
I even turned my phone off, and the text messages are still coming through. But I was like, no, only because I felt like that was our kitchen table talk. Well, by the way, it wasn't even kitchen table talk. Everybody was talking about it, about all at their kitchen tables, like you said. And I wasn't. You know what? Let me go. I wasn't mad that Garcelle said it for the reasons that other people were mad.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, because I know how they're going to react to her saying it. But I wasn't upset with Garcelle having the feeling or the thought, and I wasn't upset about Dorit having the thought. I thought what Boz said was almost not, I don't even want to use the word fair, but like, okay, well, it could have been. Dorit could have went that way, but she didn't. Garcelle said, I'm sorry. That's
Exactly.
how I felt.
The comment
Dorit didn't like it.
deserve, yeah.
Let's move on. But on top of what you said, on top of and you didn't clock it, Garcelle. Where's this? Like you said, okay, where's this energy coming from? Also, on top of, that Boz did an interview and said, when the scene that a lot of us Black women loved, Garcelle going over to Boz's house, them sitting on the couch saying, girl. In her interview, Boz said that, and then you know how Boz brought up the text message to Kyle? She blamed Garcelle and said, Garcelle set me up pretty much. Garcelle knew telling me that information, I would then have to address it. So that I was like, oh, absolutely. No, ma'am. Yeah. So she said that Garcelle bringing her that information, Garcelle did it on purpose because her job. Because y'all been talking about the text. If me and you have been talking about a text message that Raven and Kendrick sent and Hannah, and then all of a sudden you find out that I was with them and they confirm the text, me telling you isn't setting you up to confront. Me telling you is, first of all, without the cameras, but with the cameras, that's my job. So yeah, she said that Garcelle knew what she was going to do with that information. So I was like,
Taria.
okay, 1 + 1 is now trying to equal 3, and I don't like it. Yes. I started to tell you before we recorded, and I was like, nope, go to tell her on the mic. I had to.
Don't piss me off about that text message because Kyle, enough. Because I never understood why Kyle was having a meltdown in the first place. If we want to talk about who set who up, Kyle set each and every one of those ladies up, and she was trying to see who was going to bring it to Dorit. That was very much so Kyle calling in her hens, okay, and setting them up. You read the text on TV. And the point of contention with you and Dorit has been the texting. And you said, I'm not, memes and jokes. I'm not showing the text. And then here you come with the mic pack on and a fucking camera in front of your face and a boom mic ahead of you. Showing the text. You know that this is not going to go in unedited scenes. This is not going to lie on this cutting room floor. You know they're going to air this.
Right.
You read the text on camera to a group of people. So exactly. And then you said, I'm not showing
that
this
did
to her.
not include
Well,
Dorit.
yes, you are, because camera, that is you showing it to her. 1, 2. If you
Yes.
announce this in front of people, other people, I absolutely can go tell whoever the fuck I want about it. I'm be like, girl,
Yeah.
because to me, it's not that big of a
Yes.
secret. You said it on camera. You said it to multiple of us. You brought out your phone. You had a mic back on. No, that was not a fucking secret. So this is the type of semantics I'm talking
Yeah.
about when I am just like, this show is pissing me
Yeah.
clean the fuck off. And I don't, again,
Yeah.
I didn't see, because somebody wanted to go back and forth with me talking about, do you hang out with your coworkers? Her Boz and Garcelle are coworkers. They are not anything to each other. Again,
Come on. Oh, well, then are they
but
calling BS on the
But
scene
no,
with
no, no.
Sutton saying she
But
wanted to be
here's what I'm
sisterhood
saying.
with
I don't
everybody?
hang out
Because
with all
we,
my coworkers, right? But what I also don't do is get in their comment section and say like, "Oh, you paved the way for me, sis. Love you, sister." I'm not putting pictures of them on Instagram
come on.
hashtagging sisterhood, and I'm not leading anybody under the guise that we are cool and we're friends and we see each other, okay? And then getting up and pulling the rug from under them.
Yes.
If I don't think I have a problem with somebody, and then they're coming at me like the way they were coming at Garcelle, I would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yes, exactly. As a black woman, do you know how I would feel if another black woman said in front of white folks and you didn't clock it? And especially if I really didn't know what was going on, I would be like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
what? Like, because me personally, I don't ever want another
Yeah,
black woman to think that I ain't got her. Oh, you know what I'm
she
saying? So,
did. She
like,
was
I
taken
could see
back,
Garcelle
and
looked,
I
she
want to say this
actually
because
looked
this is
shocked,
another
like,
conversation talking point, because you know what these fans do, they pull out random clips with no context and bank on the majority of the audience forgetting what has taken place before and after. So they're pulling up that clip of Erica and Garcelle on that
yeah.
rooftop having drinks, and Erica goes to Garcelle and says, "I feel like Sutton's a liability to you."
Mm,
And they're like, Erica tried to warn her. Erica tried to warn
yes.
her. My Somebody who's not my friend bringing me information about somebody who is my friend, and then not only cussing out my child, throwing away my
Get out of my
book or
face.
pretending to have thrown away my book, at filming it, yeah, filming it, taking
Filming
you know
somebody throwing,
credit for it, never apologizing, and then laughing about it at the reunion in front of my face. Why the fuck would I take your goddamn advice, you fucking idiot? About anything. Maybe
about
Sutton isn't, so
anything,
it's clear
about
Sutton's not a great friend. But you know
anything.
what she didn't do? She didn't cuss my child out. She didn't throw my fucking book in the trash. And she's not constantly being cool to my face, because that's my thing with Erica. You are cool to Garcelle's face. Garcelle didn't make any fucking comments about Erica.
Garcelle's,
She did not. Dorit, that's a different thing, right? She did not make any comments about
boy,
Erica. And then Erica makes little shady comments, and she wants to reside on, "I'm a showman. It's what I do." It's a throwaway comment. Okay, that's so Garcelle makes
I
little
can't,
shady, fun,
that
clicky
starts,
comments, and whenever
that is
she does,
starting
it's,
to
"Oh
piss
my
me
God,
off.
Garcelle this. Oh my God, Garcelle that. Oh my God, so Erica's not the only showman. How about that? We're all putting on a fucking show.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't it interesting how, and let's be clear, no, do I agree with everything Garcelle does?
Exactly.
No, but what I'm not going to do is hold her to a different standard than these white women that we see, and nobody seems to have a problem with it. Where was all the outrage
Incorrect. Oh
for
my
Lisa
God.
Renna running back information incorrectly, I might add? So Garcelle is
Absolutely.
doing her job, moving story. If she
No,
was in
100%.
Atlanta, the people would love it. But and I'm gonna be honest, if she was in Atlanta, even some of these black women online, I'll be like, good God
I
Almighty, they would love.
Oh,
Like,
I want to say, I have said this on
are
this
we not
podcast
supporting
before
her
and
here?
other podcasts. When it comes to black people and their issue with Garcelle being on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I 120% believe that they want to see these white women on these white shows, and they don't want to see anybody who looks like us on the show, because look, these shows are escapism, right? But you don't want to see anybody talking about the things that stress you on a day-to-day basis on a show that you look to for escapism. So
Yeah.
that's why we have,
Yeah.
this, sector of black people being like, why
That's
she got to
true.
bring that up? Why she got to bring that up? Because you like watching these white women fight and it doesn't have to be about racism. But
Yeah.
Garcelle is still a human at the end of the day. She is still a human. This is reality TV. She's not playing a part,
Yeah.
right? It's real. This real human with real feelings. I I I can't say I get that. I really
Yes.
can't. If you don't, I always say this. Every black person deals with the racism that they face in their own way, and I'm not going to knock them for that. But it's my turn to deal with it in my way, don't knock me for that. And it
You know what? Absolutely.
mhm,
You are right about that. Absolutely. If I
exactly.
choose to deal with it one
If
way that
you
you
let
don't,
and just in the same breath, if you let, like, for example, if you let your white friend say the N word, okay, that's on you. But if they get around me and say that shit, I am going to say something. I am not you. So you need to understand that may fly with that black friend right there, but you
yeah.
take your ass somewhere else, and that is their right. That black person's right to deal with it how the fuck they want to deal with it. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to knock Garcelle for, you know, dealing with the Kyle or anything that she faced. I am also not going to knock her for the friendship with Sutton, because who was she going to be? Who would you got to go along to get along? Sutton was the lesser of two evils. If she would have went the way you want her to go the way of the people who laughed at her son getting cussed out?
And can we go back to something else real quick? They want Garcelle to open up. When Garcelle tried to open up to them about her son Oliver, who used to be addicted
Oh
through drugs,
God,
trying to
it still makes my
identify
blood
with Lisa
boil. It
Rinna,
still
not
makes my
throw
blood
her under the
boil.
bus. They cut. Remember when they cut that part out and made it seem as if Garcelle was trying to blame Lisa when she was asking her, basically asking her for motherly advice. And then writes about it in her book, just exactly what happened. And it goes to burning the book and Lisa Renna uh, twirling her neck at the, oh, I will never forget when she was at that reunion and said, Garcelle, you throw a lot of shade. I twirling her neck. I never seen them act like that. And now all of a sudden that Garcelle's here, y'all tones and stuff are different. So yeah, like you said, but I think they wanted Garcelle to come on and be a black woman, be a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful black woman that shows that we are not racist. The network isn't racist. We have black friends, but don't say nothing. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
remember at first, it seemed like Erica and all them were just infatuated, like, oh, Garcelle
Mm-hmm.
Bouvet. But then when she started having a voice, it was like, oh no, you're not supposed to do this. And maybe that could be whether she was black or because she wasn't part of the Fox Force 5 or what have you. But I feel like Garcelle has always held her own, had her own back. So when Sutton and her had a common ground, they were both outcasts. Did it start out as an alliance? Yeah, probably. Did it turn into a friendship? Yeah, probably. You're a black woman. I'm sure you've had white women
Mm-hmm.
that you become friends with, but there does become a point when you
Exactly.
know there's certain conversations I can't have with you. And I feel like
Oh, 100%.
Garcelle was a better
Well,
friend to
and I
Sutton
want to, like, take this
than
back a little bit,
Sutton
because
was
people are
to
like, well,
her.
Garcelle let Sutton be microaggressive to Crystal. I was Team Crystal all the way in that, right? I thought I really we were I love Crystal.
Me too.
Okay,
We
one, but
both
I
were.
also loved
Yes,
when she called Sutton awkward. She was calling that lady a
me too.
weirdo each and every way. And we need to get back to that. Okay, I think we need to get back to
You
surface
awkward,
level
you
insults. I think you're
weirdo.
fucking weird. I'm not gonna say you a narcissist, you a psycho, like you. I think you're a fucking weirdo.
Yes.
I think you're a weirdo. Period.
Come on.
That's
Thank
it.
you. Yeah. Sitting in my face with this face roller, crying them white women tears because I don't want nothing to do with you,
Right.
trying to force conversation because I don't want anything to do with you. And guess what? Because you're awkward, I don't have to deal with you being awkward. On your podcast, I'm using her name. I normally
I
say
do
the
too.
Southern Belle
But
full of
I do
Southern
too.
comfort because I do
But
believe you
I
drink
will
all the
say, and
time.
I said this back then, I think it was on your podcast. I said, I want to be very clear. While Garcelle and Crystal are both people of color, black people, they're minorities. they don't have the same
You did.
experiences
You did.
because and I said back then I always wished that they could find more
Yes.
common
You.
ground, but it's they weren't beefing, right? They Garcelle and Sutton, or not, sorry, not Sutton, Garcelle and Crystal
No.
never had a problem with each other. But I wish that they could have back then, that they could have found more common ground, because while the stereotypes between black women and Asian women are on the opposite side, completely opposite side, there is commonality in that. There is common
Hmm.
ground to be found there. And I just think that I also think
Yeah.
that Garcelle was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And you know that I also didn't, because what did Crystal call her? Violet. Violet. She said she felt violated, and I still stand 10 toes down behind that. She did use that word correctly. Okay,
Sudden
she
violating.
did. You know what's
1000%. Just because other people relate it to sexuality,
a
the
violation?
first
Yeah,
thing I
parking
thought of was
violation.
toll
Yeah, parking violation.
violations.
Yeah.
Are they using the wording correctly?
If somebody
Yeah,
walks into
like
my room, clothed or
that's how
not,
she
when I'm
felt.
clothed or not, if the door is closed, you are violating my privacy. And especially once I said I don't want to talk to you.
And is that something? Yes, after I drop to the floor to my knees and I say, "Okay, I don't want to talk about it, but can we go back?" And I'm going to never let up on this. The origin of my first real interaction with you is another white
Hmm.
housewife asking me about my experience as a non-white woman, and you, Sutton, come in and say, we're not having that conversation because you white women are uncomfortable. You mean one white woman has asked me to share my experience, which is great because that's how we, learn about our different cultures. And because you, as a
Hmm.
blonde haired white woman, feel uncomfortable, you shut down the conversation. And now you think I want to hear that you want to shut it down because other people
Hmm.
thought you were racist. I don't care that other people thought
Right.
you were racist. They didn't try to run you out of this country because they thought you were racist.
Mm-mm.
They didn't think that you deserved less because they thought you were racist. So for me,
Yeah, 100%. And
that's who Sutton
again,
is.
I don't blame Garcelle for that being choosing the lesser of two evils, because it is a lesser of two evils. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
never
because
going the way of somebody who cussed my son out and the people who laughed about it. That's,
come on. And not only that, Garcelle
yeah,
would have been by herself, truly.
exactly.
Crystal came after
And they
Garcelle.
were
They didn't
close.
even come
And
in the
just
season
for context,
together.
also, I just, I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. I just think that
Say it. You know how we say.
Garcelle Garcelle and her issues with Dorit, right? Of Dorit putting her foot in her mouth and doubling down on it all the time. It was not until this season that Dorit finally was like, I want to come to you and genuinely like apologize, and I know that I've hurt you. I didn't think that Dorit was genuine until then, right? At the in the same breath, I can
Same, same.
coexist with another white person, and I'm sure that that's how that happened with Sutton, and then they became friends. Okay, they became friends. But then there is still a stop there
Yes.
because you bring Reba into it, right? And that was really
Come
my
on,
thing when
girl.
I was yelling at Garcelle. And I struggled because I'm not going to disrespect your mama in your
Yes.
house. But I also, as a grown person, I'm not
Come
going to be
on.
disrespected either. I'm really, really not. I'm not going to be disrespected either.
Yep.
So she got through that Savannah trip, and that was that. But I'm sitting there. I'm like, what do y'all want? What do y'all want Garcelle to do? Cuss
Did
Sutton's
you
mama
see?
out in her own home in Savannah, Georgia? They're staying in
Exactly.
a plantation. That house is a fucking
Exactly.
plantation.
And not only that, did you notice how
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Garcelle brought a gift? Constantly black women trying to prove themselves. You know what I'm saying? Trying to also, if you peep, when they were all three of them were standing in the room and Sutton was saying, that's the last place she saw her father. It was Garcelle that went and put her arm around her first, and then Kyle kind of stepped up,
Mm-hmm.
and Sutton looks at Kyle and like, like
Yeah.
wants to draw her in, but it's Garcelle that's like, you know what I'm saying? That's like holding her up. And it's like that's what at the end of the day, I feel like I think people think Garcelle's naive. I think she played it the way
Yeah.
that she played it in Hollywood as a black woman during a time when maybe they didn't always weren't allowed to have a voice, right? And like you said, her and Sutton did develop a real relationship. But once again, we see now there is definitely a stopping point. Like you said, like there,
Hmm.
because I'm just out here by myself. You won't even speak up for me. All this is going on. You worried about you. You know, so I wish that Garcelle had somebody there to have her back the way she had Sutton's. And for me, did it get irritating sometimes when she would be Sutton's mouthpiece? Yes. At the same time, I'm thinking if I was on the show with my
Yeah,
friend, I
and
probably
can
would.
we say something too?
Especially if that's
I
my
think of it
only
this way
real
because
friend on the
just
show.
from my personal experience, sometimes I will, and I have said stuff in my friend's defense in the moment because y'all don't understand. I gotta go back and hear about this shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got so I'm trying to mitigate, you
And
know
I
what
ain't
I'm
trying to,
really hearing about.
yes,
And I
yes,
want to speak from
yes.
personal experience with like from having white friends that I was close to and just growing up and realize being more comfortable with myself and realizing things. And I know like some of the girls are probably like, I just don't understand. Like now Giselle thinks I'm racist. I don't think you're racist. I grew up and I unlearned things. And there are things that were said and done that I
Yes.
never corrected in the moment. And the residuals are here now. And I have these feelings. And that, you know, we always
Hmm.
talk about feelings being valid and feelings being this.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. There have been times, and I want to highlight this comment
Yes.
because I thought I was like, oh, girl, I feel for you, but okay. This woman said on my TikTok video, I'm black and I got white besties, and best believe my white besties will start it and I'm going to come in and finish it. And I said,
Oh, girl. So
yikes.
they made the black
I
woman a
said,
closer.
fucking
Girl,
yikes.
please.
That god damn.
Yeah.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
So,
It took everything in me. It took everything in me to not be
so
like, you
they
really
leave
typed
you
that
to
and you
carry
don't
the load.
see. Okay.
What you
Okay.
typed? Girl, they started and you come in and finish it. You the one that may leave in cuffs. You the one that could lose your job.
I
You the
will
one that
never
everybody
forget
looks
this
at
time.
crazy. But
I
all the
had a friend, a white best friend, that she was
girl.
always into somebody. Okay, she really was. Child bless her heart. I was not, we were all out. Everybody happened to be out this day, but we were not all together. But since we all know each other, like obviously we're going to be kicking it at the bar. Her and another girl was out in home. The girl she was with was fucking wasted. I remember she like almost hit somebody in the head with like, we were at a bar that had like that basketball game, the where you just shoot the hoop. She was doing that, almost hit this black lady in the
Mhm.
head,
Oh,
and the
yes.
black woman was
Hmm.
like, "Excuse you," and she was like, "Ugh," just drunk, being a ridiculous. And so my friend was like, "I just like she's just kind of driving me crazy. I feel like she's been rude to me all day. X Y Z yada yada." So me and my friend are sitting there talking, and the other girl, drunk girl, comes up, and they start kind of like discussing things and it's getting tense. And I really was standing there. Mind you, we had all been drinking, but I am the most sober because I hadn't been out that long. I was like, okay, maybe y'all should like go and talk in the bathroom, brother. Like maybe y'all should just go and talk, right? So then they came out, and I really, this is like 4 years ago at this point. I can't remember what it led to, but I know that my friend was like, she has my sunglasses and I want them back. And so I'm like, get the fucking sunglasses back. Like, ask for the sunglasses back. If she's leaving, if y'all are splitting up, like, ask for the sunglasses back. So somehow, some way, I ended up being like, yo, can she have her sunglasses back? Like, because I'm tired of hearing about it. It's silly, right? Can she have sunglasses back? And homegirl had turned to me and said
Yeah,
something
yeah,
smart, and I
yeah.
was like, watch it. Okay, because I'm not in this. I'm trying to help y'all. I'm not in this. And one thing led to another. Next thing I know, this bitch started crying. And I was like, and then
Right.
what pissed me off was she started crying in front of everybody. Meanwhile, she had said something like I found offensive.
Girl.
I can't remember at this point now, but she said something to me that I found very fucking offensive as a black woman. And I said, okay, fuck you. I was like, fuck you for that shit. And just like we've seen Garcelle say, okay, but then people start coming up to her and she's bawling. And I'm
Yeah,
the one sitting here in the conversation with her,
girl.
arguing.
Oh,
And it looks like I am just, yeah, the aggressor. And they're hugging her and she's crying. And it
the
pissed me off
aggressor.
even more because
Yep.
there was black men that we know coming up to her talking about, okay, Giselle, she gets it, she gets it. I'm like, y'all wasn't even here. I've
Woo,
been sitting in this part
girl.
with her for 45 fucking minutes. 45 fucking minutes. Okay, you have no clue what's been said. And then she starts with the
Right.
be kind, be kind. I don't understand why people can't be kind. And I was like, and I was
Right.
younger, right? I was like,
Say to
I'm
me,
gonna
girl.
fucking lose it. I'm gonna fucking lose it. Like I really fucking am. And then
Yeah.
turn around the next day, and I could tell my white friend, I
Yep.
could tell that she was like, I just like kind of wish. I'm like, no, you used me in that moment to stand up for you because you couldn't ask for your fucking sunglasses back, right?
Yep.
And then when it got to that
Yep.
point,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
you never fucking once said to her, "Hey, you don't need to go there with her. Like this doesn't." You never once. I spoke up for you, but you did not speak up for me. And in that moment, I'm not gonna lie, I said, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good." Like I told myself mentally, because we had a long history of that.
Yeah.
I said, and I
Yeah.
remember the next day, another one of the other girls who wasn't there called the white girl and was like, "I can't believe you let Giselle. Da 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 da. How dare you 2-on-1?" I said, "We did. First of all, we didn't jump her. Okay, we did not jump her, but I could tell the way my white friend was talking to me. She was like,
Right.
kind of like trying to like coax me into being like, "Do you think that you went too hard on her?" And I wasn't. I was like, "No." I said, mind you, I was the most sober person. One, two, get off my fucking phone saying this
And it's a
shit.
wrap. Yep.
Okay. Three, your sunglasses would still be in her possession now if it weren't for me.
Ooh, been there.
Okay. So yeah, I have been there before being
Right.
used. And I
Like you said, but
remember
she
these
used
people, these
you.
aren't necessarily people that I gave a fuck about. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't care what, especially now, like thinking back on it now, I truly don't care. At that point, I didn't care either what they fucking thought about me. But I was like, even with Garcelle and Sutton, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, yeah,
You
I'm like,
start
unless
learning,
that
you
is
start
reciprocated,
realizing
okay,
like,
unless
oh
you're about to
snap.
get rah rah over me, and when I say my feelings are hurt and my feelings are valid, then I'm gonna keep my fucking mouth shut. Y'all figure that shit out yourselves.
The amount of times that I watched Sutton be in Crystal's face after Sutton was
Mhm.
clear, and when Sutton had enough, I mean, when Crystal had enough on the boat and called her crazy,
Oh my
and
god.
all these white folks were trying to tell me, and a couple of black ones, and then I called them out. You don't use that that word in the mental health community. That's not right. Crystal could have phrased it better. And then they met Mary
Mhm.
Cosby, and they used the same words that we said about Sutton about Mary Cosby, and all of a sudden it was a different story, and they couldn't even see it. So for me, I'm like,
Right, 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 right,
I'm
right.
not choosing no different word. Now, I mean, I'm gonna be respectful, but you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
y'all are not about to come rattle my chains,
Mhm.
or like use the black woman to come clean it up in certain instances, but then in other instances we're too strong. Y'all are not about to do that. Even for me, down to
Mhm.
like,
Oh yeah.
there's been times when it's been gotten like intense on social media and comment sections. And if I feel like I see something and they and I see it and they're out of bounds to my good sis Zell, I'm gonna be right, boom. Like, nah, that it
It
ain't what
is.
you think it is. Vice versa. It's just something instinctual.
Mhm.
I think instinctively a lot of us black people have for other black. I remember one time it was
Mhm.
during all this season 5 of Potomac, and it was just stupid stuff, but it was like getting intense in the comments. Child, somebody had created a fake account
Oh
called
yeah.
Monique's Dragon Binder, and was just literally trying to drag me, trying to do personal information.
Yeah.
It was my black friends in the comments that was like, yo, that ain't cool. That's not. Other friends were just kind of like, oh, wow, it's social media. You know, it was just like a
It
very,
is.
like, it was very different. The experiences
Mhm.
are very much, even down to stuff like that. They are very, very, very much different. I remember somebody when I saw what Garcelle was going through, and then what Ebony was going through their
Yeah.
first seasons, and more so at the hands of the audience. I said, I am okay with
Mm-hmm.
an all white cast bringing in somebody black if they have true friendship. What I'm not okay with is you. Here's the thing: not only
Mm-hmm.
did they drop Garcelle and Ebony in those casts, if they had just brought them on and just let them do their thing, but every single article
Yep.
that promoted them were like the
Mm-hmm.
first black, the first black. They put that on them, the network, so that the
Mm-hmm.
network could look good, the cast could look good, like they were inclusive, and left the black women to deal with wearing that title while
Mm-hmm.
still not being able to talk about it, right? So we see that coming in. So somebody in my comments were like, you're like, I can't believe this, girl. First of all, white women, don't talk to me like you. I'm disappointed in you, girl. I don't care what. I'm disappointed in you that you would be okay with, what'd she say, segregation. I said I absolutely am. You ever heard of HBCUs? I can't believe you're okay with HBCUs. I said, but are you? I said, do you have a problem with all women colleges? I said, do you have a problem with all women colleges? No, I don't. I said, oh really? Oh really? So if a man told you that he had a problem with all women's college, what would that look like for you? Oh, she got irate. I said, and yet I'm not allowed to hold space for all. Am I? Oh, Taria, I finally get it. And it was in that moment that I was like, and she was
It's
sending
a
me all these
wrap.
DMs like, oh, I'm so sorry, I get it now. Da da da. Girl, I'm not in the mood. Like, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And I've noticed that when
Mm-hmm.
I've had these conversations, if I break it down to
Mm-hmm.
non-black women, like women versus men, they get it. They don't mind
Mm-hmm.
saying throw like a girl, catch like a girl, fight like a girl,
Mm-hmm.
women rule. But as soon as you put black in front of it, now we have
Mm-hmm.
a
Yep.
problem because they're not
Yep.
included in that. They feel the need to always be included and always have a word about it, which is why I said at the beginning of this podcast, when we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the black relationships
Right.
with black women, the dynamics of it, y'all can't speak to that. Just like I can't speak to
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
dynamics with Southeast Asian women and what they may do in
Exactly.
their culture that we are not
Exactly.
privy to.
I
I can just listen and learn. Girl, I'm so tired. And Beverly and the slips, I'm sorry, the slips from Beverly, some of these, and I'm just gonna call it out. Some of these big
oh yeah.
Bravo accounts, y'all slips. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we black folks had already peeped y'all's game based on the way y'all worded stuff with different things anyway. But y'all slips are
I agree 100%.
truly,
And you know what
truly
I also
hanging.
equate it to is there's a lot of conversations within the trans community. I always want to make sure that I'm showing up like in the best way as an ally, but there are sometimes when I will find myself in like looking
Yes.
at videos or like consuming content about trans issues that I truly do not understand. I'm like, "Oh, like okay, you know what I mean?"
Yes.
And I in those moments I'm like all I can do is like sit here and listen. I'm not going to try and argue. You know what I mean? I
Come
had a
on.
friend like recently
Come
like
on.
I I listen, LGBTQIA plus that it's the community, right? And then there you have all these intersectionalities. I found myself like not understanding a conversation recently about like kind of like non-binary and trans, you know, when it came to that. And I was like, well, no, like if you're
Okay.
non-binary, then you're not trans, correct? And like my friend really was like explaining it to me. And again, I wasn't trying to be like, no, I'm not telling anybody. I was just saying like, oh, I always thought that if you know, and they were like it falls under
Yes.
all
Yes.
the
Yeah.
same umbrella, and you know can, and again I would never go to that person, my friend explaining to me that to me, and be like, I don't think so. I actually like all I can do is listen. Now, and again, I felt comfortable to ask a question to that person because I'm comfortable
One
with them, right? And of the
thousand.
conversation that was going on within like something in St. Louis, and I was like, well, I thought that you know X Y Z. So I I listen. Taria, we understand that as Black women because we're not used to always being a part of always being considered, right? But and the next topic I want to get into when it comes to this sisterhood conversation is a lot of times there is a perception with some Black women when it comes to Garcelle about her wanting to be the only one. Oh, Garcelle just want to be the only one. Garcelle just want to be the only one. Does she
I
want to
never
be
got
the
that.
only one, or was she just the only one and so she did what she existed in the space as the only one? Because for me, and I want to say we also had this conversation about Gabby when it came to Summer House a couple summers ago, when I still stand by, I didn't love the way
Hmm.
Sierra and Maya were talking about Gabby. A lot of people online put that label on Gabby as well, as, oh, Gabby just want to be the only one. And I said, well, Gabby didn't come in and wasn't kind to Sierra or Maya. I actually saw it the other way. Maya went to
Hmm.
Sierra in Summer House and was like, hey girl, this is weird for me. Like, did you feel this way? Blah blah blah. And they kind of, to me, they didn't extend that out to Gabby. And a lot of people went, well, Gabby is friends with Lindsay. That don't have anything to do with anything. If I feel like I'm feeling othered as a
Right,
black person, and I know how hard it was for me in that space, and I see another black person coming in, I don't want them to feel that way.
girl.
To me, Garcelle has never, and I know a lot of people online who worked with Gabby, they were like, well, Garcelle or Gabby wanted to be the only one in the space. I don't know. Okay, I'm not, but I know that I feel like there have been times
Right.
when people might have perceived me of liking to be the only black woman in a space, and I can only speak for myself. That's not true. That is not true, right? I have been the only black woman in space plenty of times when I actually wish that I could have somebody
Ooh,
to have
child.
those looks with, and have somebody that would look like me, and kind of sound like me and came from similar background
Yep.
like me to relate to in the space, but it's just not happening. So this is what I have, and so this is how I have to act, right? And I'm not saying when black women have been in this space that, or
Girl.
come into the space, that was mine, that are we automatically going to be besties or anything like that? Maybe not, but it's still nice to have someone like you around. Yeah, someone like you around. I just
That
don't understand
camaraderie.
what Garcelle
Yes.
has ever done to make it look like she enjoys being the only one in the space. Because I remember when the conversation came about, remember when she said that
Right.
she had seen the text message, or what that Lisa Rinna had said to somebody about, we don't do this, we don't talk about race on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
This is why we shouldn't have black people on the show, which, by the
I
way, very
always believed
reliable
that,
source told me that was absolutely
because Lisa Rinna said, who told
true.
you that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That was the first thing out of her mouth. She said, who told you that?
Uh-huh. Who told you that? Yep. So you have this woman coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, she knows that not only is the viewing audience talking
Mm-hmm.
about her, her all white castmates
Mm-hmm.
have a are having conversations
There is.
about it. I mean, we already know there's a separate text thread, and that was confirmed when the burning of the book. So, like, or the putting the book in trash, and none of y'all, like, the fact that I was going to say the fact that they couldn't see how that looks, but they can't because they have the
Well, it's
privilege of
just
not
always
ever
an excuse,
having to
right?
see
When
how
I'm like,
that
well, how do
looks.
you think
So,
Garcelle would
yeah.
feel if, Erica came to her and said Sutton's a liability? Erica is also in this separate text thread where they're laughing about throwing my book in the trash. What the fuck do you want me to do with that information?
Yes.
Thank you. But
Yes.
again,
Yes.
this one's not throwing my book in the trash right
Yes.
now, right? We're talking about when it comes to the history, and I did, when I said, when I
Right.
sit down and I think about everything that Garcelle has been through on this show with these fucking women, I understand her sitting on that couch. She said, I'm
Hmm.
fucking done.
You could tell it was like when a black woman, again, y'all, I am
Oh,
apologizing
we
again
can't hear.
because I am
I can't hear
hearing the text message go off, and I am
it.
okay, my butt cheeks are like this. So I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all
Hmm.
hear it. I'm like, my texts never go off like this. I even turn my well, as soon as we're done, I will be unhooking that. But anyway, yes, when you really, really sit back and think, it's like, I used to work a corporate job, and they used to have you walk in. There was the customer service department behind glass. They called it a fishbowl. It was all black folks that worked in the customer service rep, except for one white guy who was only working there until he was a technician, until his license got cleared up because he had so many tickets and stuff, and then he could go back out in the field, right? Other than that, it was all black. So then shortly after, they wanted to promote me to another department. They did. I went for one day, then I had to come back because the customer care department lost someone. And then it was, oh, the senior VP. Well, should we really promote her to that? Because what happens if we take the sunshine out of customer care? So I don't have a chance. Yeah. So I get to work down there for one day. And because they lost the person, I had to go back after being down there one day, right? Finally, I make it down to the other, out of the fishbowl in quotes. Mind you, I loved it because every day I was in there. Me and you have both said it. We went to majority white elementary schools. My high school was more diverse, but I think people forget because the black person told me, "Oh, you're one of those who basically didn't know
Oh
I was
my
black till
God,
I went
I
to
hate
college."
that
No,
shit.
idiot. I had a
Yeah.
black family. I had black friends. I had black church. But my elementary and middle school years were at majority white spaces. So me, and then when I was
Oh
working in
yeah.
retail and
Hmm.
management, it was a lot of white folks still. So now I'm working. When I chose to leave retail as management and go into
Yeah.
customer care, number one, I was happy because I ain't have to solve no problems like I've had the years before. And number two,
Hmm.
yo, it's almost everybody black in here. We are having a good time, right? I get moved down to the other end of the building. I start hearing about other openings that they're not put, they're acting like they're considering. So what am I doing? I'm telling them, yo,
Hmm.
telling my friends, giving them a heads up, yo, they about to do X, Y, and Z, they about to
Hmm.
do X, Y, and Z. Put in for it, put in for it, put in for it. But they weren't hiring them. So, but then I had some people didn't know that I was actually talking to people for them behind the scenes saying,
Oh
oh, she
yeah.
wants to be the only one down there. Y'all don't even know that I'm really trying to get y'all other positions open, and it just so happened that one of my girlfriends ended up getting the position because I was really like, girl, she in the hallway and gonna come stand in front of my door. Nigga, I said, get in here and shut the
Hello.
door.
And
I
look,
said, now what you not gonna do is come down.
at
Girl,
all. And I will never
you
forget. I
know
worked
you
when
can't
I
do that.
managed this venue. Well, I was one of the assistant managers, but I was still a manager. And I used to. We had this cook. Okay, so a lot of times cooks' kitchens are like male dominated spaces, which I always find ironic, right? Because when you think of cooking at home, it's thought of women, but when you think about cooking for a career, it's mostly men. But usually there is like one or two women in the mix in like a in a
Yes.
yeah, in a restaurant kitchen, right? And
That's
they're
crazy
tough
now that you
bitches,
think
right? You
about, yeah.
have to be. Okay, I've been in a kitchen before. I've worked in a kitchen. You really have to be to deal with those fucking men back there, or you just shut the fuck up. But there, and I'm here to tell you, there have been times when me and them men, I'll never forget when a head chef told me one time, he was like, "Are you fucking stupid?" And I said, "You know what? I left that shit right there." I said, "You have fun dealing with that." And he was like, "Oh, well, of course, like, sorry. I didn't really mean it was a heated moment." And I looked at him just like this. I said, and he said, "Well, you're looking at me like I'm full of shit right now." I said, "Because I think you are." But I had this one of the cooks. She was something else. And I know she was sick of those men, right? I know she was, but she used to come in there and cuss them out
Hmm.
every single day. And it was an open kitchen. It's an open kitchen. We can see you. Yeah, you could see him.
So
We're
then that
seen and
means
heard.
the
So I
customers
was
can,
like, I remember one time I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and talk to her. And we had a fine conversation, right? I was like, like you of course I want to cuss and fuss and do all these things, but we can't do that. We got to remain professional, and you know how it looks on us, da da da. We had a fine conversation. I don't know what happened between her and them men one day,
right.
but she came in there cussing and fussing at them. She said all types of shit. And this is all black people, okay? We was all black, so that's everything at play. And then a couple, whoever white was there, but everybody arguing is black.
Okay.
I said, and
My
they
butt was
fired
like
her.
this.
It wasn't
Okay.
my
Okay.
decision. I didn't even know they were firing her.
Mhm.
But what she did, like she had a lot of
Wow.
warnings, right? I was like, okay, whatever. When they fired her, I was coming into work and I was like, oh, hey, what's up? And she had just gotten fired. She was like, oh, raggedy bitch. And I was like, excuse you? I was like, excuse you? And she was like, you want to be the
Oh,
only one up in here, blah, blah. I said, I fucking don't. I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to. It's funny about me. I remembered this the other day. When I was in beauty school, I've always, a lot of times, like you said, with black people,
that's
will be like, oh,
crazy.
you're one of them ones that didn't realize you was black till college. I've always known that I'm black. But Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
hello.
Yes.
Matter of fact,
Yes.
because we're made to know it, because we've been in these
Exactly.
white spaces, they
But
make sure we know we
yeah.
black. Let's be
But
clear.
I
Your
remember in
hair's
beauty
different, your
school,
this is different, your
one
that
of
is
the girls,
girl.
I can't remember her name for the life of me, but I do often wonder how she's doing. She all the white girls would be like, I'm scared of her, I'm scared of her, but she really just wasn't fucking with them. Like, you're not about to play with me, right? And then they started kind of picking with me. And I was quiet. I really am, like, especially back then when I was like 19, 20. I was just like, okay, whatever. I was a lot. I did not come out of my shell for real till like my
Yeah.
mid 20s. I would, and sometimes I still am very quiet. But mhm. Exactly. I can be just like
People don't
very,
believe that about us because
reserved.
I can be
But
the exact
they
same way.
started
Like,
messing with me and I cussed this one girl out. And I remember that girl was sitting there and she was a little hood. I loved her though. She said, "Oh, you bout it, bout it." she said, sat in that chair. She said, "I'm not gonna lie. I thought you was one of them black girls that grew up around white people. You didn't know what to do and you was trying to let people play with you." She said, "I like you. You bout it, bout it." She was like, That's what I'm gonna call you." And she did. She called me. She said she would be like, bout it here, y'all. Bout it
she
here,
did.
y'all. Because she was like, "Oh, you not about to play with them, are you?" I said, "No, I'm not." I was like, "Leave me the fuck alone." But
Period. But see, once again, speaks to
mm-hmm,
what some black women have to deal with as far as I know I'm black. They're letting
mm-hmm,
me know that I'm black, but I got to let them know you don't have to treat me different because I'm black. But
mm-hmm.
then I still got to,
Exactly. And
in my
yeah,
own community, be like,
exactly, and argue,
nah,
and
that ain't
and
cool
again,
how
that's
you
another
treating me, how
like
you
example
talking
of
to
like
me.
early sisterhood that I felt because she did after that. She like kind of took me under her wing. I was like when I was in beauty school, I really wasn't that good. Like I was really nervous about doing eyebrows and stuff. She was like, she was like, "I'm gonna show you how to do these brows and get it together." She was like, "No, I'm gonna bring some lashes," and she was like, "I'm gonna show you how to get that because that's where the money is." And she was like, and she did. I will tell you, I was not. I was so nervous. I was not the best at
There,
eyebrows, but by the time, because she graduated before me, by the time she was done, I took over for her because in beauty school you have like all these, everybody's good at certain things. She was like, when I leave, she was like, these a lot of women don't come with you, they don't, the clients
oh,
don't follow you
okay.
from beauty school, they go to beauty school for a reason because it's cheaper. But she was like, when I leave, she was like, I'm gonna tell
For,
these women to come in here
yeah.
to you, and you gonna do the eyebrows. And she was like, she was like, they'll tip you, because it's $5 eyebrows. And she was like, they'll give you $10, and don't tell them. And she was like, don't let them get good at these brows and be better than you. And I mean, I always appreciate it because by the end I was, and I'm
What?
still really good at
Yes.
doing eyebrows and stuff like that. I was super comfortable, and it's those things. Did we hit it off immediately? Did we look for each other in the crowd? No, but it was built in. I never felt that she was
Girl.
like, any type of way against me until we kind of both opened our mouths towards each other. But I just don't understand what it is with us sometimes in the judgment that we put on each other of like, you, when it comes to white women, right? You want to be the only one.
Yep.
You want to this. I never said that.
Yeah. Never. And like you said, and Garcelle certainly never said that. I said, man, my picture didn't age well. I
Hmm.
posted a picture of Boz and Garcelle and the way they were looking at each other at Kyle's Denim and Diamonds party. And I said, I love this. And
Hmm.
I played Beyonce's Brown Skin Girl. Even again, back to when they were at her couch. And again, y'all, we're not saying that they have to get along, that they can't
Hmm.
argue because we make space for these white women to argue. But what we don't want the argument to be about all skin folk ain't kinfolk. That's what we are saying. And that's what I felt like with Bose in that moment. And Garcelle, you didn't clock it. And I truly believe that Garcelle, yeah, because it's not like Sutton said, and she
And
was
to
oh
be
so
okay, and
angry.
I
She
also
said,
want
I
to talk about
felt like
that
she was angry with me.
because when I saw how Bose came in there, and I had this conversation with Chai last week too. I said, to me, yeah, I was annoyed watching them. I was like, if y'all don't get out that lady's front door because you are stopping people, it's a focal point. I did feel that way. I agree with that.
That's how that
Hmm.
I was with Bose. She didn't say what's going on. But see, that speaks to Sutton. You didn't even want to find out what was wrong. And even though Garcelle agreed
Yeah,
with her, I'm
move.
not saying to stop the argument. The party's in here. Can we just move? Because can't you see yourself doing that at your friend's house
Exactly.
and there's something going
Yeah,
on in
and
the front
Chai,
door and you're like,
Chai made
y'all,
me
come
see
on
she
in
was
here.
like
Let's do
my
it in
because she was
here.
like when I have people over, I have a designated area for people to be in, and if you're in this part of the house, I'm like I can't relax. I'm like, what are they doing over there? For me, yeah, for the cameras exactly, and it does look
And the
bad,
cameras,
100%. I do think that Bose, when she said, "I'm pissed, these ladies don't have any couth," I said, girl, they gonna come back and say, "Oh, she's pissed. You said you were pissed, blah blah," and people are doing that. I don't. That would that piss me off?
yeah.
No, I was like, let
Which
Sutton go.
That's what I said. If her car's not there, one of y'all wait. But
She
y'all don't,
did.
because the look on Sutton's face, she enjoyed the fact that they were all rallying around her. Oh, your car's not here. All right, cool. Maybe Sutton
Well,
wait
people
with,
have to
maybe
stop.
Garcelle
Well,
wait with
also,
her.
when
Because
you walk
Kyle,
into
you don't
somebody's
really
house,
care
y'all know
anyway.
I'm big on
Let's
we
be clear,
speak when we enter rooms. I don't care if we're beefing. I don't.
girl.
Somebody was explaining. Oh,
In
my
a
friend,
black
my friend
household, you
was
will get punched
explaining
in your
something to me.
face if you don't
This her
speak.
issue with one of her a friend in her friend group, and she was like, first of all, Giselle, she don't speak. I said, what you mean she don't speak? She said she goes. I know. She goes. Walked in a room. No.
Like that. That's
So my friend is Dominican and then I'm
is she
black.
black?
But she
Oh,
goes, Giselle, walked in a room. I said, didn't say anything to anyone. Not one person. She was like when she walked in the room, she like
girl, you
walked
better
past
speak
everybody and
to
went to her. I
every.
said, you know what? I don't like that shit. Okay. So when you walk into the home, it's fucking rude.
Like that. I
You
guess for
got a
us, it's just
problem. You came in
comments
here
you
because you
see.
have a problem and you need to leave and walk back in
Yeah.
this house with some respect. I don't bring that negative
Girl,
energy into somebody's home. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. You don't have me
no, we
praying
don't
at the
play
front
that over
fucking
here.
door, but
Mm-mm,
once you
no.
leave and everybody get out of here after I clean, okay?
Yeah.
But
Now I,
I do
girl,
because
there
the
you.
optics are
Oh
they're
my
sitting at the front
God,
door.
like
I'm
that.
not going to walk in the
Oh,
house and walk right
girl.
past you. That would be rude, right? So you are sitting there for
Right,
a
right,
reason. And even if they would have
right.
sat outside, I am the queen. If I don't want to be somewhere, if I'm done, I'm getting on that app, the Lyft, the Uber, and I'm calling it while I'm still talking to you. I'm still talking to you. You will have no clue. And
Yeah.
then bye. You have a good
Yep.
one. My Uber's outside.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Sutton can
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Sutton
Yeah.
is not
No,
good
you don't
at
have to argue about
regulating
it.
her
I'm call me. I'm
emotions,
on my way out.
and she wants to be babied by everyone, right?
Yeah.
Everyone. But when it came to that, I will say
Ooh, and
also
that war,
when
child.
Garcelle said stop being Dorit's spokesperson, I was like, Garcelle,
Yeah.
I wish you would have just said nothing.
Right, because I felt like in that moment, yeah, because in that moment, I don't believe that Bose was being. She simply, we didn't see Dorit tell her, "Can you have them come in here?" She recognized it on her own. Like, what are y'all doing here? Even Erica, when Erica came in
Yeah.
and saw them there, and she realized, she was like, "Oh," like she didn't even want to be bothered with it. So, Bose is a little bit more,
Hmm.
and when you think about the role she played at her job
Diplomatic,
in
yeah.
manage.
Mhm.
She's like,
And
okay,
that's what I
let's
said.
move
Often
this in
I do
here.
take that role on
This
too
is a
because I manage,
distraction.
right?
Yeah.
Megan tells me
Like
all the time,
let's
I'm not one of your employees. This home is not work, right? You
yeah.
don't you don't need to, and I'm always like I'm the manager of the household as well. Okay. Thank you. Yes, but I get it. I have had
Thank you.
people tell
Right.
me like you're not at work. You're not my manager right now. Like we don't need this. But when it comes time to take charge, if the group needs to gather and go, I will do it because we just need to get it done, right? But I was like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Garcelle, I get that you are trying to I do think Garcelle's coming from a place of like I got to calm this bitch down. Y'all don't understand. She be on the phone with me, pouring that Kettle One
Yeah.
and ocean spray, just yapping about this shit. And this is gonna get her riled up even more. So please, please. So I can understand that, but I was like, oh my
Please.
God,
Right. Can
this
we
is
just
going to be. a thing. And I think that, again, I think that Garcelle and Boz, when it comes to the show, that no, did they actually have beef? Did they really have a problem? No. That's why I found that, and I'm talking pre-reunion. That's why, and they even
Yep.
had that talk on the boat about on the last episode about how do we get this together. And Garcelle said,
Yes.
and then they said, "Girl," and laughed. Right?
Yes.
There was something there. I'm not saying they were besties, but there
Yes.
was a common respect there amongst each other. So feeling that way and then going into the reunion,
Yes.
right? And getting that from Bose, I would be like, what the fuck is this shit as well? I would have been as well.
I would have been shocked. Like,
I do too.
and I think that was the deciding factor. I think them other
Hmm.
ladies didn't phase her. Oh,
Hmm.
but now I'm about to go into another season, and it's very clear to me. Like, now this is a thing because in case y'all didn't catch it, let's break it down. Bo's saying,
Hmm.
"You called me angry, and you didn't clock it, Garcelle." What she's saying is, class, you as a black woman didn't have my back because she expected it from her, which is why we can expect Bose to have had Garcelle's back on Watch What Happens Live. See how the dots connect? That's why Bose said it to Garcelle because she wanted her to have her back.
And exactly,
Why?
and because
Because she
because
was
it's
black.
always, why does Bose have to
So
have Garcelle
you
back?
would,
Why does Bose have to have Garcelle back? This is the precedence that you've set. One, two, and we haven't had a
yes,
problem. We have had a very well like
yes,
relationship, working relationship up into this point. And I again,
right.
I don't know. I rack my brain honestly, and I need a break from it. Of Bose and Dorit, because watching Dorit sit there, I saw it was like a satisfying look on Dorit's face when Bose said, "And you didn't clock it." Because Garcelle
Yeah.
and Dorit she's clocked Dorit for that stuff, right?
I,
And like Dorit really seems like,
yep,
finally, yeah, I can't be racist because look at this. I don't listen. I'm not
yep.
denying anything about Sutton or how she's handled things, right? But what is Garcelle not
Yes.
supposed to speak
However,
up because to Dorit because Dorit has offended her, but Sutton hasn't?
yep. And let's be clear, the conversation that Sutton and Garcelle had, which kind of made them friends, was Sutton talking about she having a kitchen, and
Mm-hmm.
Garcelle was like, "You
Yeah.
have no idea what a kitchen is. Let me explain this to you." And they went from there. So, like you said, Sutton hasn't said anything offensive like that to Garcelle. And also, like you said, Dorit sitting there, I clocked that too because, and I had to say, man, here I was kind of championing their friendship. Like, you know what? It's great if they found a true friendship in each other. I think that's great. Is it Bo's job to teach Dorit anything? Absolutely not. May she learn some things and it finally
Mm-hmm.
click into her brain what Garcelle and some of the other white women were trying to tell her? Maybe. And then to see, like you said, that smug look on her face as Sutton is being clocked, and as Bose is trying to
Mm-hmm.
clock Garcelle on not clocking what she thought Sutton said to her, it was like, again, why I wish that,
Well, and
why
you
did
know
we
what it
have
is
this
too? Like,
conversation
let's
in
go back
front
to the
of these
robbery comment
women?
because obviously Doree didn't know that comment was made until after we watched the season back, right? And she had already offered her the apology. I do
Yeah.
just wish that again, Doree has a right to be mad about that. I don't expect her to like it. The way in which she came at Garcelle about it of like I'm not backing up off of this because this is what I always wonder. I've never been on reality TV before, right? If I've made up with somebody and then I have to watch this back, right? And these feelings come up 100%. I feel
Yeah.
like for me, I'm like, okay, we've talked about it and I am going to take that into consideration when talking to you now about this. I know what we've talked about and we've moved forward, but I'm still going to say what I have to say about what
Yes.
I saw and that I didn't fucking like it.
And I think the only way I would be in my feelings more, and like you said,
Exactly.
I haven't done it, I'm not saying, is if there was stuff added to it that I just saw. I do
Exactly.
apologize for this,
And after the
but
fact,
there was
right? I
extra
could see if
stuff
Garcelle also said
added.
that after the apology was offered.
Yeah.
It wasn't. The timeline to me matters, but like we
Yeah.
both said, we
Yeah.
haven't done it. I just don't. And then actually, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about when it came to that. Bose's Instagram post
Okay.
of like with the I am strong, and she's like for the people in the rafters and blah blah.
Child.
Again, I don't know what it's like to be on reality TV. A lot Bose is catching a lot of hate right now. And I've seen, since I make videos, I do see a lot of comments, and I'm basic, and I like to be in a little comment section. Okay. I see it on both sides.
Me
People,
too.
hating on Garcelle and throwing hate her way, and people throwing hate on Bose and things like that. I just
Yeah.
Bose, I think, is a very smart woman, and but yeah, and I
She's
can
a she was a
and I absolutely see what she's
marketing.
doing, and I don't necessarily have a
So we
problem
know
with
what
it.
she's doing.
But my only thing with her is almost, I don't think anybody is too smart to not to continue to grow, right? I get a air from, I don't want to say air because I've never been in the same air as her, but I get a feeling from Bose that like she is all knowing, and like she
I
knows
know what you
this and
mean.
this. You said it about me. I'm always like, okay, I can see that. I can, I'm always willing to change my mind when presented with new information or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's just, I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah,
Or at
yeah.
least
It's
consider
just,
the
it's
thought.
one of
Even
those
if you don't
things where
change
I'm
it, you
just
still
like,
consider
okay,
it.
Bose, like this,
Well, she said on the show before that she knows. I forget what it was, like a throw, like a
yeah.
comment,
And
and
I
the,
joke and
like,
say
because
that
I'm
also
always right,
all the
and it's
time.
like,
Also, you know
ooh,
what I mean? I really,
okay.
I really do.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Me too. I tell my husband we have mugs. His mug. I bought us mugs. His mug says
yeah.
Mr. Right,
Yeah, you know what I
and
mean?
mine
I
says Mrs.
I
Always
and I
Right.
base things off of common sense. Off of, and I always say, my mom always laughs at me. I always say, and my mom always laughs because I'm like,
Right.
I have a really
Right.
good read on people. Everybody always says that. They're like, you really do. Like, you clock that one. I've always worked in like customer facing, um like I used to do hair, right? I manage a bar. I
Same.
was a bartender and a server so long. I've
Hmm.
just been around a lot of different types of people. I can clock a lot of things. I've worked with a lot of different types of people. But then my mom always says, she's like, girl, as a baby, she was like, you were just always observing. You always wanted to be like listen, and she was like, about like when the grown-ups were talking and stuff, you just wanted to sit there. You just wanted to sit there and
Me too,
take
girl. That
things
was
in. And
me.
my friends always laugh at me
Girl,
now,
me
like the
too.
way I kind of like clock people and make comparisons from reality TV. They're like, "Girl, what the hell?" But I don't think that I know everyone. I think everyone can still shock me, but
Me
I
neither.
don't know, and I think
Yeah.
actually I want to rewind here too, because this whole like Garcelle want to be the only one. Garcelle's time on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and her career, and my knowledge of her career, is very, very, very fucking small. Garcelle was on the Jamie Foxx show, and her and Jamie still have a close relationship. And the people that were, yeah, I'm like,
And have
what
you
the
seen her
fuck are
circle of
y'all
friends?
saying?
Garcelle got black
What
friends.
it that doesn't make sense. I
Yeah.
want, and there's a
Yeah.
conversation online right now about black women and influencers, and this black woman, I don't know who she is, because I guess she does like family
Ooh,
stuff.
girl, I'm on that side
I
of
don't know who
TikTok.
she is. But she had a contract signed with Target before everything went down. For real, it was signed months ago, so she still has to do it. You have to, it's a contractual
Hmm.
obligation. And she put it up. And the comments that I was
Yeah.
seeing
Oof,
from black
that's rough.
women, I was like, and a lot of them, I was laughing because somebody was like, "Oh, she could take the brand deal stuff. I'm still not going to Target." I said, "There you go. Point grand opening, grand closing." In the words of Stephanie, you know what? That's fine. That is fine. I'm still not going to Target.
Yes.
Okay, but
Yes.
the people saying, the black women coming down on her saying, she should have known better. She shouldn't have taken it. Da da da. First of all, where are your brand deals? Where are your brand deals? You
How would
don't
she
have
have
one.
known? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You cannot. You
And you can't
cannot. You
discuss
have to
contracts
read.
and all of
Oh
that
my.
because
And
you
there's,
don't know
listen,
about
none of
them.
us know the future. Okay. None of us know the future. I'm going to tell you right now, with where
Yeah.
I want to be with, this and my career, everything. I don't know if I don't know if I would turn down a 6-figure deal from Target right now.
Let me tell you, Target is
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of, so you know I do gig work, ride share, grocery delivery. I'm all out here in the streets, and one of the people that I deliver for is owned by Target. So I
Mm-hmm.
struggled a lot with, do I still go pick up these orders? And so I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
support people not going to Target 1000%. And when I go in, I
Yeah.
try my best not to like, okay, well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna get my stuff from somewhere else because it was convenient for me. I'm in there
Mm-hmm.
shopping 15, 13, 14 orders a day. So if I'm in Target,
So
so I
that's
get
my
it.
other thing. Yeah,
I
I'm
support
like
it. I've
there's
talked to the
black
black
people work for
employees
Target.
in
Them
there,
rolling
you
back the
know?
DEI, that was bullshit. I'm not holding y'all. But that
Yep.
doesn't mean they fired every black employee. Okay. What about the black people that work in there? Do you think they're
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I feel for them because
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
ones that came to talk to me are very
But it's
upset with
not
Target.
easy.
They're
It's
like,
not
man, I want to
easy.
find another
Yeah.
job, but right, I can't quit without finding. Yeah, yeah. And what's funny is one of the employees said they think that
Mm-hmm.
Target is because it's really impact. I'm telling you, I'm in those stores.
Mm-hmm.
I went to go use the bathroom before I started going to shop and order, and I keep my headphones on. And one of the stalls was disgusting. And a black woman walked in and
Mm-hmm.
I was drying my hands. So I went to turn around and tell her, don't go to that one. And she saw me and she went, oh my God. And I was like, so I moved my headphone. I was like, what's up? Like, no, I said, what's up? And she said,
Mm-hmm.
because there's none of us in here. And she
Yeah.
felt bad. And I guess she thought maybe I was going to be judging her. I said, I got
I'm
you. I
not gonna
feel,
lie.
we just
I've been
bust
in
out
Target since
laughing.
I
And I
had
was
to
like,
get
don't go to
something
that
that was
stall. That's what I was getting ready to
the
tell you.
closest, most
But
convenient thing, and it was for work. It was for work. I
yeah, at Target. Yeah. Well, and that's what about people that there are some people that live and Target is their only option. I think just like with the different boycotts
yeah.
that we've done in history, there's different ways that we lend our support. And I think using our platforms to talk about all this
Yeah, I mean,
stuff
for me, I had to
is
go. I was at work. I needed
a
to go
very
get
big
like a
one,
battery or something
you know?
for one of the like remotes, and it was some type of special battery.
And you
And I live and I work in St. Louis City. I'm not fucking driving to the county to go to. Oh, I'm definitely not going to Maplewood fucking Walmart over my dead goddamn body. And Walmart and Target ain't too far different. Okay,
and that's what I was
and
going to
not
say.
on
That's another
Amazon
thing.
and
People
not
are like, we're
anything
not
like that.
supposed
And
to be at Target.
I
Well,
saw this
technically we
very
ain't supposed to be
interesting
at Walmart
conversation as
either.
well about somebody was like, okay, where are we shopping or whatever?
McDonald's.
And this somebody was like Costco, and this black girl, she said, I am single, like I'm a single woman, and I don't have money to pay for a Costco membership and then go in there and spend all of the money getting things like in bulk in warehouse. Like that's not realistic for me. And I was like, oh girl, free.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I can support in other ways, and that's the thing. I think we have to be okay with saying, I 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that they're boycotting Target, and I'm going to support in ways I can. Like for instance, I was on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok and came across this black-owned
Oh yeah.
pancake
Mm-hmm.
business. Sterling K. Brown, his wife, posted about it, and then which led me to, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that I look at my inventory of the
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Jemima I have now so I can
Right.
order from this black owned company and not get them from Target or somewhere. So like I'm trying to help in ways that I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people came down
Yeah. Yeah.
on Tabitha Brown, could the message have been a little different? Maybe. Could transparency have helped?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, y'all, I'm in this contract. I'm trying to make moves. I can't get out.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
like
Right.
just be
Well,
transparent
some of
with
those
us. Don't try to
contracts say that you
guilt us
can't say that.
into it.
Also,
You
I
know what
don't
I'm
know what
saying?
is in people's
But
contracts.
at the end of
You
the
know what I mean? I don't know. And I
you know
have
what? That's
to
true. That's
also
true.
think
You're
about
right.
the black products that are. I know, I think it was
You're
the
right.
Lip Bar or the Lip Lab or something. The creator, yeah, they used to be in
Yep.
Target, I guess. Well,
The lip bar.
I don't guess. I know, and I guess they're not anymore. I'm not. Is it still in there?
Well,
Okay,
listen,
I
that's a
don't
different one
know.
because the lip bar is in there.
So
So my
I don't remember
yeah,
what
the
it
lip
was,
bar is still in it.
but they were saying that when Target rolled back DEI, they ended their contract, right? And how, right? I had seen the brand in there.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I seen her.
And listen, y'all know I love my makeup, I love my hair products, I love my everything. If it does not work for me, though, it's, yeah. I have one
Whether it's white, black, blue,
brand,
yellow.
makeup
Yeah.
brand,
Yep.
that I will not purchase. I have one thing from them, right? And I'm actually about done with it. But I will not purchase from them anymore because it's just too much. I won't say it on here now, but I will not purchase from them. And I actually told myself with influencing,
Okay.
if they ever want me to do anything, I don't know if I could because of all of the fucking issues they've had. You probably know which one it is. Y'all listening probably know which one it is.
Yeah.
Hmm. I
Oh, I know.
but
I know who it is. I
besides
know
that,
exactly
I
who it is.
have to always think, of the black brands that are still in Target and things like that and how it's affecting them. I'm always having these thoughts in, my mind. It's not. And I say, because like,
Yes.
same thing with like
Everything
Starbucks,
isn't
right?
black and
I
white.
understand Starbucks is problematic. Starbucks also pays for college for people. I have cut back on going to Starbucks because I really don't prefer Starbucks. I'm sorry, I don't. I do prefer my local coffee shops and stuff in St. Louis, and especially now that when I
Mm.
lived on the Illinois side, there weren't that many options. I did live near one, but it was expensive. But now that I live in St. Louis, I have more options around me that are not Starbucks, and I'm grateful for that. But the one Starbucks that I used to go to by my old house in O'Fallon,
Mm-hmm.
it was the same black girl working all the time. I think she might have been a manager, and she would be like, "Hey girl, what's up?" And I'd be like, "Hey boo," like, you know what I mean? And we had like not a relationship, but every time I would see her,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a rapport, thank you. And I always think about her because I'm
A
like,
rapport.
I don't blame her. I don't know what her goal is. You know what I mean? My mom always taught me don't fuck up the bigger picture. And that also leads me into
Listen.
everybody talking about, oh, Garcelle should have cussed him out. She's weak. She's this. I absolutely understand why she did not waste her breath on that shit. Okay?
Because she was done.
Oh
And
yeah.
remember, we're not a monolith. We have to remember that sometimes too when we think,
And
oh,
you're buying
she's
into
not a real
stereotypes
black woman.
by
She at
saying
that
she should have
point,
been
she
up
was
there cussing
done.
them out, but I would have loved it. Okay. I would
Yeah,
have loved when Dorit
me too.
said, you live
I
on a
would
fucking
have
main road. If
loved.
anybody there would have said, you think you gonna stay there? I would have loved it because I know you fucking lying. I know you fucking lying.
I would listen. I would have loved when they brought up Erica saying that maybe Garcelle peaked. I would have loved for Garcelle to say, "Listen here, Pat the Puss, you peaked when you were spreading it wide in Pasadena for a lawsuit predator who
You
left you
also, you know what
penniless.
I also remembered
Please don't
is
ever,
Garcelle told us during
don't
that
ever."
season when all that Tom stuff broke that her sister had a surgery that went bad. Um, yeah, her sister had a surgery that went bad and that impacted
Oh,
her, and
that's
she had
right.
to hire a personal injury lawyer and things like that. So it hit home for her for those people to not
Yes,
be
yes,
getting
yes,
their
yes,
money that they're owed after,
yes,
being victim to terrible things. So, but again, that was glossed right over.
yes, yes, yes. Ooh. There is something about Erica, and I always go back to this. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it
Mhm.
here. When Garcelle was on the reel, and she was
Mhm.
talking to Lonnie,
Mhm.
and she talked about the birthday party that she threw that we saw on camera, but of course there was stuff that happened off camera.
Mhm.
And she said Erica had been drinking and walked up to her and Lonnie. I don't know if Adrian was there or not, and said, "You know the women that support me," and she pointed to them. Black women support her. And there is always a part of me that feels like when Erica said inside joke, I said, "No, baby, you are, no matter how these black women got you thinking, hyping you up, you're still like, you are." There is
Well,
just
you know what?
something
I don't
that
remember
she
if I
gives
texted you
me
about
that
this.
I'm
I
kind of
listened
like,
to Carlos King on with Cynthia and Crystal the other day. I did. I listened to it. And
no, you did
we
not
I feel like we feel the
text
same way
me
about Carlos sometimes. So I was like,
about it.
but let me listen to this. First of all, Crystal was giving it to
Uh huh.
him. I loved it. I
I
loved it.
heard. I
He
heard.
does.
And he
Well,
runs his mouth
he
when they're
said that
not
he went
on,
up to
but when
Sutton
they
and
get on
Sutton
there,
was
he
like,
backs it right on down.
mm. And he went up to Garcelle and Garcelle was like, yeah, I would look at him like that too, especially if I were Garcelle. Sutton, I ain't got none for her. Garcelle, I would look at her like that too.
Me
Especially,
too.
I would start looking at him sideways after that fucking
Yeah.
Ramona interview when all that shit was going on with Ebony. Yeah. But neither here nor there. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I want to say Carlos, Cynthia,
Can we just
and
say,
Crystal did say that the
okay?
only Beverly Hills housewife that they think could hang in with Real Housewives of Atlanta in the slightest way is Erica.
Yeah, in the
I
slide,
think that
but I
Erica
think
can
that's because
because
of what she
Erica.
gives up, and maybe she would.
Oh
I
no,
don't
no,
know.
no! I
Maybe
don't want to see it at all
I'm gonna
either.
say she
But I
would, but
do
I
think
don't want
Erica
to
could
see it.
because
That's what it is.
Erica
That's
grew
what it is.
up in Georgia with a single mother, right? And I guarantee Erica grew up around black people, and she probably was like cool with them. And so and we've said before, Erica's an observer. She knows a lot of different things. I think
Yeah,
we've both said like she's probably a great dinner guest.
that's
She just
true.
like
That's
says like
true.
her mind is very interesting. So I do think that she
Yeah,
could
yeah.
hang, but I don't like when Erica gets on the Miss Motherfucking I'm so fancy pants and blah 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 because it doesn't somebody said this online and I was like,
Yes,
ooh,
that's
clock
what it
it.
is. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
clock it. They were like, Erica, they really thought Erica was the diversity in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I said, now that's facts. And I said, now that is fact. The same way they considered Lauren from Utah the
Absolutely.
diversity on Vanderpump Rules.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Girl,
I don't
now
think
I
she's
gotta
full
see her
time.
on the
I'm
Valley.
very
I'm
annoyed. I'm
disgusted. Is
very
she full
annoyed.
time over there? Please, because I'm gonna watch the Valley, and
I
to
can
even
too.
I can be even be okay
I
with
can be
Sheena, even though
okay
I
with
ain't really
Sheena
trying
too.
to see her.
Lauren,
But Lauren from
it's
Utah,
exhausting. It really is.
and it's about her acting like, "Do you want to get popped, girl?
She
You
does
ain't
that.
gonna
Well,
bust
they
a
said she
grape
pulled a knife
in
on
Welch's
Faith,
backyard,
right?
please,
And I'm very
please."
interested. And listen, I don't know. I can only imagine how Faith felt in that situation with all these cameras, knowing how that shit goes down. We are finally talking about how much they've
Yeah,
protected Jax Taylor,
and
okay,
yes,
for the umpteenth time. I can only imagine how Faith felt like she couldn't protect her. And look, you're not about to play with me, but anybody pulling a
yeah,
knife on me, I'm not playing. I'm not playing with a weapon.
girl,
You're crazy enough to do this right now. I
yeah,
don't know
like a
what you're gonna do.
knife, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
still wish she had
but
stomped a mud hole. Use some of her military
yeah,
instruction,
I don't know
her
what you're gonna do.
parents'
But
military, and
I said,
stomped
me
a
and Chai
mud
were
hole in
joking.
her.
We
But
both
yeah,
said when we saw Julian, who Brittany was hooking up with, because Brittany's boyfriend before Jax was black as well.
yes,
I said,
girl,
I I said, I
was
just
black.
know
We knew Brittany
Jax
liked them
called
black
to let
child.
every which type of slur come out of his damn mouth. I've grown, and I want to be clear. I've grown up around
You
those men
know it.
that
You know it.
like dated had white women that they dated or they were with,
Me
and then they
too.
got with a black guy. And oh my God, the things that I could say, I could
Hmm.
probably fill up 2 full pages of the names that
Hmm.
those women were called, and then the racist names that were said because they felt some type of way. I grew up around it. I have no
Yep.
doubt in my mind.
When
What they
he,
think.
it
Yep,
just
what they
speaks
think.
to their
Yep.
insecurity
Hmm.
around. Uh-huh. Yeah, so like, oh, girl, I'm with you. Just like I am with Cara Berry, and when she called it out, I said I have been feeling it since day one. I believe Kyle Cook likes black women. I mean, I know. I mean, I believe he loves his wife. Let's be clear, but I also
He
feel
be
like
staring. And I will say,
he's not
I will
opposed
give
to,
Kyle his
you know,
tens. Kyle handled I've always been very impressed in I've liked Kyle how he has handled conversations
same.
around
I know
race
what you're gonna
when
say.
they've come up in Summer House. I applaud, honestly, I
Yep,
applaud everybody in that cast
same,
because for the most part,
same.
because without Luke, dummy. Okay. And then Danielle, we had stressful time there, right? But
Ooh, girl, you know we, girl.
Yeah, but I will.
Let me
I
away
always
from
have to give
Summer House.
Kyle
I
his
said,
sins
oh,
because,
absolutely
and
not. But
you
yeah,
know, people have said also that about
yeah,
Kyle in real life, like he is
I believed it, and that's what I said. But
a
there's
hundred
something.
percent,
Come on, we black
a
women
hundred
can tell the
percent. But he not
energy
look. He not about to be
they
playing
give
with a
off.
black woman the way he played with a man.
And it's
Okay.
like
Mm-mm. No. Taria.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. So like I said, let me put it there. He loves his wife, but I do believe if he had the chance,
Yeah.
I'll just
Taria, thank you
I'll
so
be
much for coming
PC
on the
and say if he
podcast.
wasn't
Please
married.
tell the
That's what I'll say.
people, of course, please tell the people where they can find
Thank you
you.
for having me. First of all, y'all, thank you so much. I love Zell. I can scream that from the rooftops all day, every day. Y'all can find me Instagram. What else is Lord? Well, We Go Podcast, WEIGO Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and then you put a one after it. We Go Podcast one. I said I wanted to get back into TikTok, and then I said before the last ban, if they extend it, I'm gonna get on. Then they extended it, and I still ain't got on. I want to get over there.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh
But
yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoy. I
I
use
get. Trust me.
TikTok
I
like
get
it's
it.
my
I'm
TV
on
show, so I
there.
just be scrolling. So
Yeah.
it's my
I'm on there,
TV.
and
It's my
it
TV,
can be
and I'll be in
exhausting.
y'all's comments. But yeah,
Of course,
so
and
y'all can
of
find
course,
me.
y'all know where to find me. Please like and
Yes.
subscribe if you're. Yes.
Come over to the YouTube.
Perfect.
I'm
And
on
yeah, if you're
YouTube. I
watching
just
this
don't
on
talk about
YouTube,
Housewives. I talk
make
about
sure
everything over there.
to drop down in the comment section. Let us know, your takes respectfully, because you got to outline that for people these days on how you feel about the conversation, the sisterhood, Boz, Garcelle, anything that we talked about. And we will talk to y'all later.
Bye, y'all.